Hey everyone, I am Justin, and that is Kyle, and we are the Fantasy Football Upside. Today's the day, Kyle. I've been waiting for this one. It's our first mock draft of the season. So excited. Yeah. So, once again, this is another special Friday episode that should be releasing on Friday. Just as a recap, we started off with RBs 1 and 2. Then we hit wide receivers 1 through 3 one week. And then this week, we've hit tight ends and QBs. So, we're really looking forward to getting this mock draft going for you guys. But first, Kyle has a little information for us.
All right. So if you guys want to learn who to draft and when, what players to start, who to grab off the waiver wire, and tons of other fantasy football information, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that button, and click that bell so that you get notification of when we post things. We try to post every Tuesday and Thursday during the off season. And we've got special Friday episodes every once in a while here, as back-to-back weeks for Friday episodes. We're probably going to be doing more mock drafts during Fridays here throughout the remainder of the off season. And then once the draft season starts kicking into high gear, we'll be picking up the episode frequency and hopefully work our way up to at least 5 episodes a week. Plus, we're talking about possibly doing some live streaming on game day on Sundays before everything gets off, so that everybody kind of gets a chance to hear about weather and injury issues and all kinds of early news before games get going. One thing about today is that it's just going to be Justin and I. I know that we talked about having Dan. Unfortunately, he's unable to make it for this draft, and we'll hope to have him on the next one. And that'll be a lot of fun. Trust me. So I'll send it back over to you, Justin. If you want, is there anything you want to add before we get going?
No. What we're doing tonight is a 16-round mock draft. We got 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a flex, which is your wide receiver, running back, tight end, defense, kicker, and we have 6 bench players. This is a 4-point touchdown league right now is what we're going to go with. So I think if I'm ready, you're ready. We are going to do some draft strategy as we go through. Yeah. But I know we talked about this before, Kyle. We're just going to go ahead and do a whole separate episode as well about draft strategy. So if we kind of talk fast through this, that's probably what's going to happen is you're going to get some more information as we go through and do a whole episode as well. So I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah, and we're gonna have a whole breakdown of different types of strategies in the draft kit. How you want to approach each position based on different nuances that you might have in your rules and the scoring of your league, different things like that. So while you're going to get a little bit of it today, you'll get a lot more of it later on, and you'll be able to, get that draft kit and get even more of it. So we're going to be doing our mock today on Fantasy Pros, and we're using their mock. What is it? It's just a draft simulator, right? And so it's just going to be the 2 of us, and everybody else in the draft is just a bot. So. We're competing against sort of a little bit of a randomized ADP and, slightly different tendencies based on whatever nuances they've put into each player.
And we don't know what number we have pick-wise. Yeah. It's set on random, so we're going to find out as soon as you find out. So, all right, here we go. Start draft.
I'm not getting anything on my side. Is it coming up on yours?
Yep. If you want to go ahead, you have to hit start draft as well.
It's moving on mine. There we
go.
All right. So just to be aware, we're sharing my screen on this. Justin's running a separate screen with his side of the draft so that we can both run. Let's see here. Where did we end up?
I can't even tell.
Looks like I am number 1. I'm on the clock.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
And I'm number 12.
Oh, wow.
That couldn't work out any
spectrum.
Interesting.
You either want to be 1 in this draft, or you want to be, I think, around 4, 5, maybe 6. I don't know. I like Saquon this year, but I'm taking Christian McCaffrey right off the top. I'm not going to make that mistake. We know what he's going to probably do for us. The talent's undeniable. He will not be denied by this league. So I'm going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey, and then let's see here if we can watch what picks run off the board then. All right.
Whoa.
All right. It went ahead and jumped through everybody. So let's scroll through a little bit. And before you make your pick, Justin, let's list off what we've got. So I took McCaffrey. Next went Saquon Barkley, then Zeke. Michael Thomas, 4th overall. Alvin Kamara, 5th. Dalvin Cook, 6th. Derrick Henry, then 7th. Tyreek Hill, 8th. Josh Jacobs, 9th. Nick Chubb, 10th. And Devontae Adams at 11. So your boy Joe Mixon sitting there. But you've also got a solid amount of top-end wide receiver talent. What are you thinking, Justin? What do you think here?
See, I actually do like to be on that 12, 13 turn. I like to be the last pick. It's either first pick or last pick. I like to be back-to-back. So I am a fan of Joe Mixon. I have him – let's see here. I have him as my 15th best player. But, going into this, I was thinking going running back and then whatever high-quality wide receiver, and I have some options at that. So let's just go ahead and get Joe Mixon up on the board here.
Yeah, so one of the problems with drafting at the turn is that you do get a little – you're definitely in that at least or at best second tier of running back at that point. So that's what makes it tough. But you are still in that top tier of wide receiver. So – it gives you a really good chance at least equalizing one of these positions. Wide receiver is a little more a little harder to pick who's going to finish in the top every year, but works out. So what are you thinking here? Are you looking at a wide receiver? You're going to go another running back?
I was thinking tight end, Kyle. I was thinking Kelsey.
I was going to say, you're not going to reach for Kelsey. Hey, QBs are still available, aren't they?
Oh.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
What is it? Don't be that guy?
Yeah, it is.
Don't be that guy.
No, I you know what? It's one of those things where I have DeAndre Hopkins rated a little higher than I have Julio Jones, and I think that's who I'm going to go with.
Yeah. That sounds good to me. So let's find out who's going off the board here right after that pick.
Oh, we had Kelsey and Kittle go back-to-back in our first two QBs.
Yeah, our first two QBs are off the board. So let's run back up here to Justin's first pick and second pick. We've got Joe Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, and then we have Julio Jones, Aaron Jones, Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay was, I don't even know what wide receiver. That's got to be like the 4th or 5th. And then you've got Taylor. Wow, that's amazing. Jonathan Taylor going 5th pick, 2nd round.
Wow.
Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, 7th pick, 2nd round. George Kittle, back-to-back, 8th pick, 2nd round. Lamar Jackson. Wow, the Eclair, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then Pat Mahomes. So here we are sitting at the elbow of the 2nd and 3rd round. And as far as I'm concerned, we still have some top flight talent available here.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my rankings for myself a little bit. I'm looking at least one wide receiver and a running back probably here.
Yeah.
The first 6 wide receivers are off the board for me. But Amari Cooper's still sitting there. I've got him slightly ahead of Mike Evans this year. I like what that offense is looking like. As far as I feel like I can kind of trust. So I'm going to go ahead and take Amari Cooper here, even though it's telling me not to. And then I'm on my second pick here, and
you're a Kenyon Drake reliever, but you also like Miles Sanders. So
I do like Miles Sanders, but in the 3rd round, I don't know if I like Miles Sanders in the 3rd round. There's some question marks there.
Yeah,
you know that Kenyon Drake is getting the primary carries coming out of that backfield in Arizona. Mark Andrews isn't a terrible pick, but it's 3rd round. I'm not going tight end in the 3rd round. But I could also get a guy who, in my opinion, is going to finish as a wide receiver 1. And right now, I think I've got Kenyon Drake outside of running back 1. Let me see where I've got him sitting. Yeah, I've got him back at 17. I've got Miles Sanders at 15. But Mike Evans, I've got sitting at 9. So it's not ideal the way that I would usually pick a team. But by getting that first pick, I'm stuck taking that premier running back, and I'm going to hope that he's going to get me those extra pass yards, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have 2 wide receiver ones by picking up Mike Evans right now. So that's what I'm going to do, I think.
That's a good pick.
As far as other guys that are available based on what it looks like coming ahead, I like Eckler. I like A.J. Brown. Those guys that are a tier down, at least for me. So I'm going to take Mike Evans. All right, you're on the clock.
Fell all the way down to you.
All right, so
let's see.
You want to rip off who's coming through?
Absolutely. So after if it'll let me, after your Mike Evans pick, he just keeps coming back to it. So we got Melvin Gordon, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Leonard Fournette. So a little string of running backs there. My little Cooper Kupp, OBJ, Chris Carson, Austin Eckler, Juju, Adam Thielen. So let's see what I have here. I got Mark Andrews is still available, tight end. Well, if you watched our tight end mock draft or rankings, we kind of told you to wait on that. I mean, I'm going into the elbow of 3rd and 4th round. I still think that's pretty early. I'm a big fan of A.J. Brown this year. I haven't made that quiet. So, and I also have Todd Gurley ranked pretty dang well, actually. I have him 16th. Because who else is going to be running and catching the ball out of the backfield for the Falcons? So I got 30 seconds left on the clock here.
Yeah, I'm starting to like Gurley a little bit more. I'm starting to like the chances in Atlanta for him to do well. I don't know if I'm taking him up there. I'll tell you, we've got J.K. Dobbins kind of high too, or at least I do for right now. But it's your call. Where are you leaning here?
I'm going to go ahead and go with Gurley, and then I'm going to talk over kind of what I'm going to do. I think wide receivers next, and I actually have Allen Robinson rated ahead of A.J. Brown.
How much more?
I actually have Allen Robinson as my 10th best wide receiver, and A.J. as my 14th. So it's not a huge difference.
Well, it's a team that's going to throw more. Bears are going to throw more than Tennessee, I think.
Yeah.
They want to throw more. Nagy wants to throw more.
And then I'm just looking at the strength of schedule that Fantasy Pros puts on here, which is awesome. I mean, number 1 strength of schedule for Allen Robinson compared to the 27th. So,
yeah,
I mean, I feel like I would be going against my rankings, going on who I like as a player a little bit more. But, man, Allen Robinson is a dang good route runner, and he gets the volume. So I think that's a pretty good decision. I don't know. What do you think?
I in that situation, I mean, A.J. Brown was dominant, and especially dominant when Tannehill started throwing the ball.
Yeah.
The volume of passes are not as high as you can imagine in Chicago, but I think that the quality regardless of who's the QB in Chicago, I think the quality of the pass in Tennessee and the quality of the offense is higher. So I think I like A.J. Brown.
I got
it's
10
tough.
seconds. That is actually a tough one.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with my gut. I actually do like A.J. Brown. He's a keeper in one of our leagues. So
yeah. All right. So let's see who's running off the clock right now. All right. So we have your A.J. Brown pick, and then we've got Mark Ingram. Mark Andrews finally falls off the board in the 4th round. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson slipped all the way to the 6th pick. Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, Le'Veon Bell, Calvin Ridley, Raheem Mostert, and then I am on the clock. We've got some solid stuff here. My concern is that we're already sitting with two wide receivers that are premier. I'd like to add a running back here. I've got 2 picks coming, so that's not terrible. One thing I don't know if it popped up in the screen that we're recording here that it should show up. I clicked on Pick Predictor, and that's a premium feature on Fantasy Pros. And I've used Fantasy Pros in the past with my last, I think, 2 or 3 drafts. And it actually has a companion to your drafting, so that when you're drafting, it can show you kind of predicting what guys are going to fall off the board by your next pick or the pick after. You can, I think, go up to 3 or 4 picks away. So I'm going to have to go with I want a running back in these 2. I really like Robert Woods and Devontae Parker. I'm going to go ahead and take Devontae Parker. Justin knows that I like Devontae Parker, and I'm probably
Yeah, you
higher
do.
on him than I should be. But the guy was crazy solid. Okay, I've got 10
You got 10
seconds. So I'm just
seconds.
going
Yeah.
to take him, and then we're going to talk about
And
the running
reset
back
here.
situation.
Yeah.
And, we've got David Montgomery and David Johnson. I'm not a huge fan of Johnson. I'm not a huge fan of Houston's offense in general. I think
Right.
that they're going to be playing from behind in a lot of respects just because they can't generate offense out of there. They gave up a really big piece of that offense. The next guy that you're looking at is, you got David Montgomery, James Conner, and then
Devin
it
Singletary.
really starts to fall down. You've got Devin Singletary there. Let me pull up my rankings really quickly here.
Yeah. 50 seconds left. So you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. Gosh, this is a tough one. I think that I like James Conner more than David Montgomery. And I like Devin Singletary actually a lot better than both. I think that offense is primed for something. So it's possibly a reach to try to take Devin Singletary here, but I don't pick again for 23 picks, and I need to get a running back on my roster here. So again, this boils down to a little bit of strategy. I've got, in my opinion, 3 wide receiver ones. At least 2 are solid wide receiver ones, and one of them is a borderline 1-2. So I want to go ahead and take that second running back here, no matter what. So I'm going Devin Singletary.
Okay, good pick.
I've got him 16th on my board.
I
running
have
backs. So
Singletary 21st. So I actually had James Conner and David Johnson ranked just ahead of Singletary. Okay. So let's see here. After Singletary, we got DK Metcalf, Debo. I don't know if you got that sound drop ready.
Not ready, but I do have it. Yeah.
AJ Green, TY, Robert Woods, James Conner, Zach Ertz, David Johnson, DJ Chark, Darren Waller. So let's see what I have. We have Stephon Diggs.
So Fantasy Pros is telling you that the experts are saying you should be picking Dak Prescott. That's showing up as 68% here. And then the next one they're saying is David Montgomery. That's a bit of a fall for him, I think. I think that he, could have gone in the 4th round potentially.
Absolutely.
But this draft has had a few reaches, in my opinion. So
yeah, absolutely. And so I'm looking to fill in either a wide receiver or a flex position. I like putting running backs in that flex position. Like you said, David Montgomery probably shouldn't have fallen this far. In my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. I got a little bit of time left to figure out who I want because I'll probably take a wide receiver next. I'm going to go to my rankings here.
Another strategy thing. Yeah, another strategy piece is that if you are drafting online like this, if you're drafting, a remote draft, and you get the 1st or the 12th pick, first or last pick in your draft, that you should spend all of the time you have in that first of your 2 picks when you are picking back to back. That way you have as much time as possible for your second pick if you're still evaluating. So where are you leaning this way on this time?
So I actually have in my rankings, I have Jarvis, then Terry, then Stephon, boom, 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 like right next to each other.
So you've got Jarvis, Terry McLaurin, and then Stephon Diggs.
Yep, I got 23 for Jarvis, 24 for Terry, Scary Terry, and 25 for Stephon. Jarvis just catches the ball, but they have a lot of pieces there, a lot of mouths to feed. I do like Terry McLaurin for sure. I love this too. You can't see my screen, but you can click on, give a quick little expert note. Boy, up and down year. You know what you're going to get out of Jarvis Landry every year.
Yeah, you do. I think he's pretty reliable. I like Diggs this year. I'm expecting something out of him. The question is, are you looking at a gamble right now? Do you think you have consistent players on your roster in this position? You also
I'm looking for a consistent guy right now, I think.
So my attitude would be, if you're doing that, go for Jarvis.
And that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Usually I do like that risky player, but I just don't know what that's going to look like with Josh Allen.
Yeah, you got to balance it out, though. That's the problem. Like
you want some high upside.
A lot of people make that mistake where they they draft guys who are highly risky, pardon me,
Mm-hmm.
early on, and then fail to pick up solid middle level players. If you're gonna get a volatile wide receiver 1, get a solid wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
All right, so we have your Landry pick, and then Deshaun Watson, Stephon Diggs, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray,
Oh, a little run.
Marlon Mack, Russell Wilson, Michael Gallup. Gosh, I got to check here. Is that true? Is that really a carry-on sighting in the 6th round? Wow, a
Wow.
carry-on Johnson sighting in the 6th round. Terry McLaurin. Wow, he almost fell all the way to me.
Yeah. That's
Julian
decent...
Edelman, who is on my don't draft list, especially
Same.
not in the 6th round.
Not
okay,
with,
so we're down
not
to 40
without
seconds.
hashtag
All right.
Twami.
Yeah, hashtag Twami. Hashtag immunity pills. All right, so we've got running back, we've got wide receiver pretty well locked up. I think we've got a great running back pair. We're looking at probably trying to fill in a flex spot here. I'm still looking. Look, there's plenty of talent at tight end. There's plenty of talent
20 seconds.
at QB. So I'm looking at a running back. I think we've got a couple solid ones. And Kerryon Johnson already got pulled. So I'm going to go ahead and take DeAndre here. I might be crazy, but DeAndre Swift right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I can take a little bit of a risk if I want, and I can go for a crazy wide receiver. But I'll tell you what I want is a piece of that Detroit offense at this point. And it's probably –
So you're going to go back-to-back Detroit?
I think so. Now, wait, I want you to understand, though, the reason that I feel confident in doing that is that I look at my starters – and what I'm doing is I'm looking for those guys who are true upside players at this point. Tyler Boyd, I don't see as a big upside player. He's a consistent player. I don't need the consistency at this point. Marquise Brown, he was a bit too flashy, too much for me last year. Hunter Henry, he's sitting here right now available, and he's not somebody I'm looking at. Kareem Hunt is a thief when it comes to Cleveland. So he's somebody I could consider in this spot, but I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to break Justin's heart here, and I'm going to go ahead and take Marvin Jones.
I was actually in my head kind of thinking like, okay, is it too early to pull the trigger or what? Okay, let's run through here real quick.
You would think that we both grew up in Detroit or something.
Right, no joke. So right after that was Tyler Boyd. We talked about Evan Ingram, Rob Gronkowski, Cam Akers, Sony Michel, Hunter Henry, Marquise Brown, sorry. Jared Cook, Kareem Hunt, Darius Geis. So that puts me on the board. Where are we at? We're in the 7th round.
We are. The back to 7th round turns to the 8th. So you're definitely looking at this point for depth pieces, or you're looking at those guys who are those high upside QBs or wide receivers. I'm sorry, not wide receivers, tight ends. So you're looking for those guys who are in the right opportunities. Yep. Drew Brees or Matt Ryan in this round is not terrible. Josh Allen's still available. Those aren't terrible. I think it's a bit early for Drew Brees. I think Matt Ryan's going to return solid numbers for you, and I see a lot of high upside in Josh Allen. I still wouldn't take him in the 7th, but you're front of the 8th.
I'm on the elbow. Yeah, I'm on the elbow, so it's kind of
I don't know what your roster's looking like right now.
Real quick, I got Joe Mixon,
let me pull
Gurley.
your roster up. I got it. All right, so we've got Mixon and Gurley. And then we've got DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, Jarvis Landry, and David Montgomery sitting in the flex. So what are you leaning here? I know you got 12 seconds.
I think I'm going to go ahead and draft Matt Ryan. I'm going to go ahead and get my quarterback.
Okay.
I just think, like we talked about before, they're just going to throw so much.
Yeah.
They're just going to throw so much. All right. So then we have next. Tight ends went off the board within that round. I like Tyler Higbee, but I don't like him that much. You know what I mean? So it's
not in the 8th round. I think you can get somebody of equivalent value 2 rounds
Austin
later.
Hooper might still be there. Noah Fant might still be there. So I have some options here. I have Will Fuller still as a wide receiver 3 on my rankings. I know there's some injury concerns with him, but he could be the number 1 option for wide receivers in that offense. And, I already have basically I'm just missing a tight end when it comes to my roster right now because I don't think about defense or kicker till pretty late.
Oh, those are
So
absolute last
absolute
picks.
last. So, once
Yeah.
you just said you kind of draft for,
Draft for that week 1 play, really.
yeah.
That's what you should look for in that spot.
I think I'm actually going to go with Will Fuller just for what he could potentially offer. And like I said, I think we had him ranked as 35 or 36 wide receiver, and he's going to
Yeah.
be a wide receiver 4 for me.
Yeah. All right, so let's see who's going off the board. CeeDee Lamb just jumped off the board, I saw. So did Tommy. All right, so let me get back up here. We've got Keyshawn Vaughn, Tampa Bay running back, right?
Yep.
Josh Allen finally off the board, the top of the 8th round. CeeDee Lamb, Jordan Howard, Aaron Rodgers. That's way too early for Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Let's see here. Damian Williams in the 8th round is a little surprising. Carson Wentz, John Brown, Tom Brady, and then finally Brandon Cooks in Houston. And we are on the clock here. We've got a minute to figure it out. And I've got 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. I like to hit 6 total in those guys. This is a area where I could start talking about tight end, talking about QB. I'm still leaning heavily towards running backs and wide receivers. And while you were talking, I scrolled down a little bit and I saw a guy who I wanted to take a shot on and see what happens, and that's J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're gonna.
So
There's quite a few running backs in that room.
There's a lot of hands, a lot of mouths to feed. They want to run that ball like crazy, though.
Yeah.
And a guy who's ready to jump right into the NFL, ready to go and carry the load, that's J.K. Dobbins. And so I've actually got him ranked pretty dang high, upper RB2. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him. And that's kind of a depth pick at this point, but it's a lottery ticket in a way. I might just hit it right. A thing that people don't think about is that running backs, rookie running backs, there's been one in the top to finish as an RB1, at least one every year. There were 2 last year. We talked about this in our running back episodes a little bit. I'm looking at wide receiver. I'm looking at tight end. I'm looking at QB. I like Matt Stafford. I don't know that I'm going to take him right here in this spot. 9th
You
round.
could probably wait another.
I can wait on him a little bit.
Maybe.
I actually am liking Noah Fant here, but I might be able to wait on him. I doubt it, though, because there's only 1 other tight end, 2 other tight ends ahead of him here.
Yeah.
And I think Christian Kirk kind of intrigues me in the 9th round, but I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get Noah Fant. I don't like Austin Hooper's competition this year, whereas I think that Fant is set up for a pretty decent year. And so
you're not a big fan of the Higbee.
No, I'm not. I think that offense is really hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have him ranked ahead, but I like the chances here with Fant. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. 9th round is not bad. All right. What do we got?
So we had, after your Fant, man, it keeps going back up.
Well, it's still loading on this side. That's why.
Yeah, Phillip Lindsay, Christian Kirk, Ronald Jones, Mike Williams, Henry Rhodes III. Wow. Darius Slayton, Devontae Freeman sighting as a free agent. So
that's an interesting one.
Emmanuel Sanders, Sterling Shepard, Matt Breida. So looking at my roster, I still don't have a tight end yet, and I actually do like Tyler Higbee this year compared to what you. So that I feel like that's going to be an easy pick for me all the way down here in the 9th to 10th round. I think that's some pretty good value for him. So after that, I already have 1 backup wide receiver. So it's kind of looking like, okay, do I want to have a running back? It's tough when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers backfield. I mean, they're paying Tevin Coleman quite a bit of money in San Francisco, so you would think he would still get a little bit of portion with Mostert. Latavius Murray, he is what he is. James White, don't know what he is after #Twami. So, yeah, the running backs kind of dried up a little bit for us. But quick decision here with 20 seconds left, of course. Let's just go ahead and hit Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, so just to make to make it clear, this is why when you have a borderline situation where you're questioning whether or not you should go ahead and grab a specific position,
Mm-hmm.
lean towards the positions of scarcity. On the roster that I'm building here, we've already got 4 running backs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 3 running backs. But what we're sitting on is Christian McCaffrey, Devin Singletary, and DeAndre Swift. You can't argue with that right now.
Right.
And what you're sitting on is, let's see what you've got here. I'll pull it up. You've got Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, and David Montgomery. So you're sitting on pretty solid guys who are all 3 carrying the load on their team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you're looking for here.
Yep.
It's what you want, is that reliability. I know I took DeAndre Swift as my 3rd, but I've got Christian McCaffrey. I can take that risk.
Right.
So
I'm there's still some really good wide receivers available right here. So I think I might draft another depth wide receiver. I do like Deontay Johnson with Ben Roethlisberger coming back.
Yeah.
I also like Anthony Miller as well. He kind of flashed finally last year. So I
think it'll be even better if Foles is the QB.
I think we're going to go with
here.
Anthony Miller.
Got him? All right. Let's see who's come off the board. All right. Wow, this thing's moving around quick here. It's popping back. All right, Anthony Miller. Then we've got, Darrell Henderson in the 10th round, Tevin Coleman, James White, Mecole Hardman, Latavius Murray, Alexander Madison, Rashad Penny, Jerry Jeudy, Zach Moss, and then Alshon Jeffrey finally in the back of the 10th round. And we've got the 12th pick of the 10th round. We've got some great options here, I think. We've already got our tight end situation solved, so we're not talking about tight end anymore with this roster. We do have Austin Hooper available, but we're still passing on that. We're passing on a lot of guys there. We have a lot of value, I think, still sitting at QB. A lot of people are down on Drew Brees. That's why he's tumbled down the board.
Yeah.
While I kind of have him ranked high right now, I actually think Stafford's going to have the better year of the two. I think that in the end, it's going to be better for Stafford. So I'm leaning Stafford here, and I probably am going to go with a wide receiver as well. Let me jump back over here so I can go. I'm going to go ahead and grab Stafford so that I get extra time, and then I'm going to figure out what my next move is going to be. So we've got 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and QB and tight ends. So we're looking for depth now. The only thing we are picking from here until the last 2 picks in this draft. I'm sorry. I'm miscounting. I have 4 wide receivers and I have 4 running backs because I also have J.K. Dobbins and Marvin Jones. I wasn't looking down at my bench. And so we've got 4 more picks. We're going to pick at least 2 wide receivers, I think, and at least 2 running backs. It kind of depends on how it plays out, but that's who we're going to go for. And then defense and special teams and kicker are going to be our last thing. I like Robbie Anderson down in Carolina, but I don't know what that offense is going to look like. I do know what Pittsburgh's offense is going to look like with Ben Roethlisberger back. And so I really do like Deontay Johnson there, and I like him to have a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the reason that they are not giving us a deal to Juju right now. And he's one of the only wide receivers that I see sitting here at this moment who I could bet on. People are high on Preston Williams. Don't forget he was undrafted. There's a reason. He's playing.
He had some background issue, off the field issues.
You don't go.
And he's coming back from a torn ACL too.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Deontay Johnson. I trust Ben Roethlisberger to get him the ball.
It's a good one.
In the 11th round, that's pretty good.
Yep. All right.
So you could go grab that Duke Johnson out of Houston if you wanted right there. Or you could go ahead and reach and grab that San Francisco defense. It fell past the New England defense.
No, the Duke Johnson one actually is kind of calling my name. But, okay, so after the Deontay Johnson, we had Robbie Anderson, Sammy Watkins, Tariq Cohen, Jamison Crowder, Alan Lazard, Curtis Samuel, Tony Pollard, New England's defense, Justin Jefferson, Preston Williams. So I am up next. I actually do need some running back depth, and it just so happens to have, Duke Johnson is there. I mean, this guy is pretty dang efficient if he would always, get the workload.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing. He's going to be behind David Johnson, who has been banged up since God knows when. So if he goes down, I don't think they have much behind him.
Yeah, they don't. But the problem is they've never trusted Duke Johnson. Like, they just won't give him the ball.
Yeah.
So, he couldn't beat out, was it Carlos Hyde last year? So that's
Hyde had a pretty good year, though.
Yeah.
They didn't keep him around.
That's pretty concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking around here, seeing what the.
But we're here at the 11th and 12th round here. Yeah. So that's, you're kind of hoping and praying. So I'm going to go Duke Johnson. And then this other guy that's actually kind of one of my sleepers, I'm going to go with another running back, and it's actually for the Philadelphia Eagles, Boston Scott. And the reason why is, I mean, you probably haven't heard of his name, but the guy put up some numbers there towards the very end of the season. And he's right in line with Miles Sanders the last 4 games of the season. So, I think he can do something as well with that offense, even with Miles Sanders, because I don't know if they're going to give him the full workload, Miles. So
yeah,
I got a little time here to look over my roster here. So I have Matt Ryan as my QB, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, and David Montgomery with Duke Johnson as my running backs. That's pretty solid. My wide receivers, I have DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, Jarvis Landry, Will Fuller, Anthony Miller.
Yeah. And see, something I just want to point out, since we've got a little bit of extra time right now, I want to point out to everybody is that if you jump into the QB list, here we are sitting in the top of the 12th round right now.
Yeah.
You've still got Drew Brees, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Goff, Tannehill, Cousins, Garoppolo. The depth is there. Now, these guys aren't going to blow the doors off of the stadium, but they're solid for you. And if you jump into the tight end as well, you're still looking at Austin Hooper, Mike Gesicki. TJ Hawkinson was a popular pick. I like Hayden Hurst this year as well. You've got Jack Doyle, who's our super value. So go ahead, Justin. Why don't you go ahead and grab?
I went ahead and grabbed Boston Scott. That might not be a sexy pick for some people just based off his name. You haven't really heard of him too much. But at this point, you're really just kind of dartboarding when it comes to running backs and what you feel like wants to have some upside.
Yeah.
I mean, Adrian Peterson was still on the board. I mean, no, Naheem Hines looked cool until the Colts drafted Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. A small thing I want to point out here is that we've got a run on defenses here. And that's just really bad draft strategy because most people end up by the end of the season streaming their defense anyway. And if you're spending the 12th pick on your draft on a defense, you've spent the 12th pick on somebody on a spot on your team that's really not going to potentially be in your final roster. What you're hoping for is to get as many guys out of this draft who remain on your roster and carry you to the championship. So we've got coming off the board, we've got your Boston Scott pick, then Buffalo, Golden Tate, Deshaun Jackson, N'Keal Harry, Carlos Hyde, San Francisco's defense, Pittsburgh's defense, Terrell Williams, Drew Brees, and Michael Pittman. Is that right? Michael Pittman?
Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. for the Colts.
So out of the Colts. So we've got the 12th round pick and the 13th round pick to go ahead and grab here. Adrian Peterson's turning into Frank Gore to some extent, right? We're looking for running backs and wide receivers. That's what we're looking for. I got to hurry here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Adrian Peterson. And then where we're sitting right now, we have, what do we have? We've got 5 running backs and we've got, I think, 5 wide receivers on this roster. That's a pretty good spread right now. I could go running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, and I feel pretty confident in the depth that I've built at that point. It's probably a dartboard move too, like you've been talking about, to go ahead and grab A.J. Dillon here in the 13th round, potentially. He's an option. I'm not really looking at bye weeks for any concerns, but I do like a couple of these wide receivers who are still sitting here. You've got Brashad Perriman, and you've got Paris Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
You take a chance on Jalen Reagor, but I don't like the rookie wide receiver stuff. I tend to stay away from that. You could also pick Larry Fitzgerald. He's eternal as well, right? And that offense is going to throw a lot. They're going to run a lot of 4 wide sets, so he's going to be on the field a whole lot, and he's hyper productive. So if I'm looking at wide receiver, take a risk there. I think I'm going to go ahead and take that risk, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab Paris Campbell.
I think he's going to have a good year, sir.
I do too. I'm looking for that second-year bounce out of him, really. So,
all right. So let me scroll back up here. Your Paris Campbell. We had Austin Hooper, Kenny Stills, Dallas Goedert. I had no Goddard would fall out. Jamal Williams, Justin Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger, Royce Freeman. I don't know if he's even going to make the team. Josh Kelly, Anthony McFarland Jr., Justice Hill. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers and 5 running backs. I'm not going to draft another tight end. I'm not going to draft another QB. So we're looking at, I'm going to probably do wide receiver, running back. So I was hoping you wouldn't draft him. You mentioned A.J. Dillon. Mm-hmm. You've told me time and time again that you don't know if Jamal Williams will make this final roster if he doesn't come in and ready. So you said it before, he could be the backup, and you never know what happens. So once again, this is a rookie running back. I like rookie running backs. I usually draft at least one to my roster.
He's a rookie running back on a team that wants to run.
Exactly. So
he's one injury away from being your starter.
Yeah. So, heck, if you're in a keeper league right now and you're 13th, 14th round, you know what I mean?
Well, in a keeper strategy, you're kind of hunting here a little bit.
Yeah, but I know that's solely separate. But all righty. So there was that A.J. Dillon pick. Hey, I'm back up at wide receiver, or back up on the list here. Let's see at wide receiver.
I'm going to go ahead and pull up your roster here.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So you're sitting there. You've got good depth, man. I like it. So you're going running back or wide receiver here, I assume.
Most likely.
You could also jump ahead to a defense and kicker right now if you really feel like it. But in my opinion, you're only doing that if you're afraid someone else is going to steal your week 1 matchup.
No, not really. I'm just going to see what's left when it comes to we're on the same page when it comes to defense and kickers. We usually just wait till the last 2, and like you said, you're going to start streaming probably by week 3 anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Brashard Perriman, man, he did some work down in Tampa last year. So it just depends on what he can do with why am I spacing on his name?
Gase.
Sam Darnold
and Adam Gase.
And Adam Gase.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they paid him $8 million for the year. So you're going to pay him that much money. You're probably going to start throwing him some football. So
now they're paying Le'Veon Bell a lot, and they didn't use him.
That's true. This is another one of those dartboard throws. He flashed. First-round pedigree.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what's running off the board now. I was surprised to see Daniel Jones still sitting there at the top of the 14th round, folks. He's going to be a better than 14th round pick for you. And so, I mean, he's still sitting there right now. That's not terrible. You also have Mike Gesicki sitting there. You've got the Ravens defense still sitting there. This is my point about waiting. Let it fall to you.
You're at the 14, 15 turn.
Control your board and make sure that you're picking positions of scarcity. All right, Jalen Reagor finally fell off the board there. We've got Darrynton Evans, running back, it looks like, from Tennessee. Damian Harris, he might be a surprise player this year. Baker Mayfield, Chase Edmonds. Let's see here. We've got Antonio Gibson, Nyheim Hines, Raquel Armstead. We've got a Lamichael Pirine, right? Samaje Pirine's younger brother. And Lamar Miller. Wow. Lamar Miller.
He's not even on.
He's a free agent. Yeah, he's a free agent right now. Okay, so we've got 3 more picks. So here we're going to go with one regular, and then we're going to grab.
You got 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and grab right now I'm just going to go ahead and grab my defense. I'm going to get those Ravens because
that's a dang good pick at basically 15th round.
Yeah, essentially that's the 15th round pick, but I'm wanting to look at my roster a little bit, see where I feel like I could add some strength. I've got 5 running backs. Running backs go down. So let's look at the running back situation, see if we like anybody up at the top. If anybody goes down in Pittsburgh, it's Benny Snell's show, right? And he's shown some things there. So that's not terrible.
Well,
Malcolm
they did
Brown has
draft
a lot of promise.
Yeah, they did draft another running back there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Anthony
Yeah.
McFarland Jr.,
And there's a
which I
lot
think
of guys.
Yeah,
There's a lot
Jalen
of
Samuels
guys.
is even still available.
But we talked about it earlier. Larry Fitzgerald's still available. And yeah, he's the 3rd wide receiver on that team, right? But I'm getting him in the 15th round.
Yeah.
That's pretty good value, I think, because he's a decently solid guy. He's turned in numbers repeatedly. It leaves me with 5 running backs and 7 wide receivers. Turnovers usually pretty high on wide receiver. So it's not exactly – I would like to be a little bit more balanced, 6 and 6, but that's where I'm going to go, Larry Fitzgerald.
Cool. It's like a throwback pick.
In the 15th round. So, all right. So at this point, it's a lot of detritus here. You've got a lot of defense kickers, backup QB, that sort of stuff.
The Rams came off the board. The Bears came off the board. Harrison Butker, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones finally went. Justin Tucker, the Saints, D.D. Westbrook, Zerline, Joe Burrow. And these are my last 2 picks. So I'm looking at defense and kicker. So when it comes to defenses, let me see what I have. I actually have Denver ranked ahead of Minnesota. That might be kind of odd for some people, but
I think Minnesota struggled last year against the pass. So it's not a terrible idea.
And they didn't really – I mean –
they lost
all
pieces.
Their cornerbacks are gone.
Yeah. Well, they let Xavier Rhodes go because he was old and slow.
Yeah.
I know that he was a flashy signing for one team, but couldn't have been.
I do like the Denver Broncos defense, so I think that's a pretty easy choice for me really at this point. So I'm going to go ahead with the Denver Broncos. All right. And kickers are people too, okay?
They're people.
And the people.
They swing their leg for money.
And I actually – Will Lutz is available. Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's my 3rd ranked kicker, and I think that's actually what Fantasy Pros has him at. So that's pretty simple.
He's my 3rd.
Yeah. Matt Gay would probably be a pretty good one as well. So hopefully that falls down to you, Kyle. You know what I mean? That could be a good one. I mean, they're going to probably score some points. So Matt Prater is – it's never a bad idea to choose Matt Prater as well. So sometimes with these –
leg and he's indoors half the year at least. So.
And here's one thing I do a lot with defensive and kickers. I actually do look at the bye weeks. Sometimes I like to stretch those out. If you have a good kicker that could be in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, you don't have to worry about dropping somebody. You can just –
They do 13th round buy or 13th week buys as well now.
Yeah, so it's like that's not a terrible thing to do, but you're really just you're throwing up a coin at that point. So let's not keep wasting our time here. Will Lutz, I should be able to pick him at this point.
No, you should.
They're going to score some points.
Yeah. All right, so a bunch of kickers just left the board. I'm looking for a guy who's going to be on a team that's going to throw up points, going to eat up a lot of yards. And to me, the obvious one here is Atlanta's kicker, Young Ho Ko. He's the guy to grab here. Badgley, they lost Phillip Rivers. I don't know what to expect out of that offense entirely. Crosby, they could have a lot of drives stall out this year, so he might be a valuable pick. He's really, really accurate. So there's some decent stuff here still, but I think that one stands out.
I had him there towards the end of last year, and he helped me win some games. Like he had some field goals. I mean,
I'll tell you, I've got him ranked 9th right now in my kickers. And
I got him 11th. So
I like having guys on offenses that are going to move the ball. That's my kicker strategy, and I'm terrible at kicker strategy. Trust me. Like that's the downfall. I might be really strong in a lot of other spots. That's definitely my weakest spot usually. But my strategy usually is I want a team that's going to score because they're the ones who are going to get him into range most often. Their drives that stall out should stall out with him in range. So I'm going to take Young Ho Ko of Atlanta.
How do you feel about your draft? Let's see what
we've got. Yeah, we can get some draft analysis out of Fantasy Pros. I like Fantasy Pros a lot. They offer a lot of good stuff. So I've had their premium, I think Hall of Fame package is what they call it every once in a while. And we're gonna try to set up a link for everybody on these so that we can get you guys all set up on them as well with discounts and stuff, because I really enjoy what they've got. And the mock draft capacity that they have is amazing. Justin can talk about it too, but we have a keeper league, and the ability to link your league to Fantasy Pros mock draft as well as your actual draft assistant is amazing, because it automatically puts all that in once your league has that data input into it itself.
And you can actually, beforehand, if you wanted to, if you found out, who everybody's going to be keeping, you can put that in there as well. So that's really cool. So you can start running some of your simulators as soon as that happens. You can plug and play that information in, and that's really good for you.
Yeah, keeper drafts can be really tough if people who should be going in the first and second round are already off the board. So it's really important to try to mock those guys. It's very important.
Real quick about Fantasy Pros as well. I actually did not use Fantasy Pros last year. This is my first year as using their premium function and everything, and I'm just blown away, really, because last year I used their rankings every week, and they really helped out because they're expert rankings. They do the composite. It's really nice.
It's consensus rankings across at least 90 experts a year. So you'll find us on there hopefully really soon. We'll get set up with them as well, so our rankings will be included in the composite. But yeah, it's really solid stuff. I've had great success with it. It's very helpful. All right, so right now it's got us as an A- on my list on my draft.
I got an A
out of 100.
I got a 95 out of 100.
Yeah, it ranked you number 1 overall. It's got you number 4 in starters. Some of the things that I see with these is that it really takes some time for it to shake out the way that they do things. And then it's got us, my side is 6 on the starters, and on the bench, it's got you at 2 and me at 3. So we've got great depth. That's what we were building for.
That's what we were hoping for. That's what we were trying to do.
Yeah. And one of the things that I have noticed in their draft analysis is that it takes it straight as you draft it and puts them into your roster. And you might find a guy whose value you believe to be higher than somebody who's sitting in the roster and he's sitting on your bench. And so that's the way it kind of grades it out. This is just projected standings. So it's saying that both of us overall should finish in the top 3 of this league. We're going to be fighting for bye weeks potentially. And again, we've talked about it. Win your draft, win your league. Got to do one so you can do the other one. We are in prime position right here. And it's because we waited on positions that do not have issues of scarcity. That is QB, tight end, kicker, and defense. Wait on them. All right, jump into a little bit of, you can't get on the draft analysis. I'm sorry. I'm used to using the premium. I haven't set it up right now. But you can dig
get into mine a little bit.
Yeah. So you can look at the draft analysis if you want a little bit. You can look at the team analysis. It breaks down everybody's teams for you. The final draft board, it lays it out in the big draft, classic draft board. And then you can look at each roster as well. It's all pretty cool. Shows you everything that, and it pumps this grade out. So if you're doing even a live draft, you can still use the draft assistant and you can put in each pick as it occurs. If you're doing a remote draft, really nice. It automatically does it. If you have a compatible system, you set it up so that it does the draft assistant, and then it immediately plugs those guys in. Some of the features that we weren't looking at are the pick prediction, value-based ratings. We were looking at only the suggestions based on the expert consensus ranking. and they have tons of other variables that you can account for. That's not even the one that I look at when I'm usually drafting. So again, we'll dig in heavily into all kinds of draft strategy in a full draft strategy episode, and then we'll probably run and do a mock the next day. We're talking about doing some live streaming and doing some drafting with that as well, and get people on, and we'll host a mock draft with a bunch of people, not just the two of us. And obviously that'll run much more than an hour, so I think a live stream would be the better way to do that.
Right.
All right, Justin, you got anything to add before we get out of here on this one?
No, I think it went really well for our first mock draft, so definitely appreciate you guys watching. And like you said, we're both real big fans of doing mock drafts, so we'll probably do as many as possible, and we'll throw in some PPR ones as well, because I'm sure we're going to come out with some rankings as well. So I feel like we're going to probably hit up like weeks of rankings, and then it'll culminate into a mock draft kind of thing. So once we get closer to the season, you're going to start seeing us do mock drafts constantly, so we can try to get as many on paper, on video for you guys to kind of go back and listen to our strategy. But definitely look out for our draft strategy episode that we'll have hopefully here soon as well.
And, the draft kit's going to incorporate a lot of that. It's also going to incorporate some strategy by pick as well. And then also something that you need to be aware of when you're doing these mock drafts, especially with Fantasy Pros, if you're drafting against the computer, there's no harm in trying to see what happens if you make a weird pick. Or if you take a running back, and if your draft slot is like 9 and you take a running back, what do the wide receivers look like in the second round when it's coming back to you? You should think about those sorts of things. And then with Fantasy Pros, one of the things I liked about mocking through Fantasy Pros was that you could undo your pick and roll it back to your last feature. Pick. And so you could try it out and see, well, what comes off the board here if I make this kind of pick? And then as you cycle through those things, you kind of begin to understand, where should guys fall in the draft? What should I be expecting? And if I take a guy here and I like this other guy, he may not be there for me. So I need to evaluate those two. That's my this or that question. And that's what, that's how you figure yourself out. Don't be afraid to reach for things that you are set on. Don't be afraid to do that. You're drafting your team, and you're not drafting anyone else's. And at the end of the season, what you're looking to do is be able to have everybody go, well, we questioned it, but we were wrong. And at the end of the season as well, you want to have guys who finish out on your roster who were on your team when you drafted. It isn't easy to have a ton of them. So, all right. So that's everything, I think, there. I think we got through all the guys that we wanted to. We talked about it a lot. We'll get into some more depth with these guys eventually, and, we'll hit up some more mocks for you.
Absolutely.
So you found us on YouTube. You've been watching us here. We're the Fantasy Football Upside. You can catch us on Twitter at FFB_upside. You can also find us at Facebook, and that is FFB Upside. There's no underscore there. I say it every time. You can also search the Fantasy Football Upside, and you can reach us at email. We've got the Fantasy Football Upside at gmail.com. We're working on getting those podcasts out. I think that we're going to have things rolling probably early next week, and you'll be able to run back these episodes then and download them and listen to them offline. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications when we upload the best fantasy football information on the internet. And thanks for being an Upside fan, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.